it got, that's what set me thinking. I wasn't thinking before that. So I was wondering, so I thought I'd analyze the situation. What I did realize, of course there's no financial interest here, that it will not make you a leader. Please note, I'm quoting someone here, and that's our ARC chairman, Dr. Ajit Babu. Because like he told you also, if you remember, during the course of this initiation program, that it's not going to make you a leader overnight. But don't be disheartened. You will achieve a lot and hopefully set you on path to effective leadership. The key here is effective leadership. So I thought, let me analyze what I'd learned a lot. There were 3 sessions that I attended earlier, and the ability to inspire people and lead or motivate them to a common goal or for a common purpose is what a leader is. The dimensions and scale can differ. Not everyone has to be Mahatma Gandhi or Obama, and you could be a leader in your own vicinity, in your own locality, in your own community, in your own hospital, because wherever you can influence people and make things better or motivate them to improve, you are a leader. They could be positive or negative, like Dr. Ajit also referred earlier. Hitler would be classified as a person, he is a leader. Osama bin Laden was a leader, but yes, they were in the negative category. So we need to, and we also need to differentiate between what true leader and leadership is in contrast to what we understand as leaders or what are projected as leaders. So just because you're in the media does not mean that you're a leader. As I said earlier, you can be a leader in your own right, in your own small little environment. So during the course of LDP, I understood something about, in my clinic there are 2 receptionists. The senior one is a lady and she knows her job pretty well, but she's again picked it up on her own by virtue of experience and seeing how I work. The junior one is a younger fellow who's about 22 years of age, young bright boy, but he doesn't know how to go about it. So much so that if the senior one left, he would make mistakes in the billing also. That's the basic thing. If you make mistakes in billing, then there's a lot of problem. So this is what I realized, that because I never even bothered to explain. To the extent that there would be people who would come and ask, okay, what are the charges for ICL? They would know that I would be doing ICL. So they were not aware of what was being done, because actually partly I was to blame because the clinic was never an important part of my practice initially. As some people call it, participatory management. This is what I started doing. Again, same problem. I would never delegate work. Whatever little thing I would do it on my own. Even small things like, if the AC is not working, I would try to manage it on my own. Complain, call the people, ensure it gets done. Despite in the clinic, small clinic that I have, there are about 4 people, 4 staff members, but even then I would try to do everything myself, which of course led to a lot of frustration and anger. So I realized that I have to delegate work, and then as a result, which I started doing, and I realized that the staff developed a sense of ownership, and they even provided valuable insights which were lacking earlier. Another example that I'd like to give here is that I've been in my clinic. I started about 6 years ago. Never really increased the amount that I charge, my fee, and because I said it was not very important to me, I just went there for the heck of it and ensuring that the patients know where I would be. And then I started realizing what was good 6 years ago was actually peanuts now. But there were patients who would, from the vicinity, would come and say, "Doctor Saab, fees bahut zyada hai, it's too much." And I could see actually quite a few patients talking to the staff outside the reception, the front office staff, and going away. So I had this thing that people in this area probably don't want, although it's a South Delhi area, but they don't want to pay that much. So I talked to my staff and I asked them what their view on this was, increasing the fee. So they said, okay, they took 2-3 days. They actually went down and checked the data and said that only 20% of our patients are from the local vicinity. 80% of my patients are either referred or come from my earlier practice where I worked. And they said that it would not matter if we increase the. So this is something which I would never realize. And they actually went and took the pains and did that bit of research, and they could provide this insight. And I also, as I told you, like little things like getting the AC fixed or something, the refrigerator fixed, even that I would take on myself. So I started delegating that, and to my surprise, should I be surprised, they actually manage better than me. Empathy. I've always been considered by my friends and colleagues to be an empathetic person. But now I'm more acutely aware of it and I'm able to express it, which is something I may not have done earlier. You talked about Dr. Iyer, who's the Dean of Wellinger, you'll be going there in Bombay. So he gave an example, like his secretary was just called up and said that my child is not well. so I would not be coming. And he said, I know now she cannot come. I can either crib about it, or I can just tell her, okay, fine, just don't worry, take care of the child. Because she's not going to come anyway. So that little thing that I did really touched a chord in the secretary's heart. And I realized that it happens with me day in, day in, day out. Dr. Mukesh will call up and say, sir, I can't come today. And at that time, I can, okay, fine, I'll just say, gruff, okay, thank you, okay, it's okay. But just one little sentence, okay, just take care of yourself. He may be bluffing, fine. But at least, even if he's bluffing, he'll feel, okay, sir was nice enough to, not question me, not say anything. So that little empathy, when you express it, goes a long way. This is what I started doing. And it's made a difference. And also, see the big picture. Very often, we get into a situation and we try to sort it out and we see what's in it for us. Here I'd like to give the example of Dr. Ajit Babu. When he, in the Bombay meeting, if you remember Madhu, he got delayed. Right? And we thought that he's gone into practice recently and 2-3 more retina surgeries karke aa rahe honge, and so he's making money. But later on we realized that he reached the airport, I think 55 minutes before the closing time at the check-in time. But for some unknown reason, the airline that day, they're supposed to close at 45 minutes. They closed at 55 minutes and they did not allow him to go. And a similar thing was happening on the other counter at SpiceJet. So he was very angry, but the person at the SpiceJet counter was blowing off. He was giving the SpiceJet girls left, right. So then he realized that he part of this LDP program and he said that I realized what would I do? So he said, give me a letter. He wrote a letter, I think he wrote a mail. Complaint. Detailed complaint. The objective, he said, was to ensure that other people do not suffer because of some mistake on the part of the airlines. So that was the big picture. This is something I've started implementing now. I mean, we all have it in us. It's just that this program kind of highlighted certain aspects which have started coming out. We are all born with it, we all have the same qualities, everything is there, but you can just depend on what you own and what you just keep on the back burner. And this was an opportunity to help us grow and identify whatever we wanted to own. So there's a long road ahead for me and for all of you also. However, a beginning has been made. Thank you for your patience.